right. This week's question came in via discussion and email. When someone says to you, hey, if you're ever in town, let us know. You guys can come, crash, stay here. We can get together. Do you take them up on that offer? Of course, we're going to say it depends on the relationship with that person. But what are some of the other considerations to the offer? If you're ever in town.
Mm-hmm.
The etiquette side of things might be different here because the personal side of things for me, unlike I think probably you, Corey, would be I don't want to stay with people anyway. So I'm just not going to. I might let you know that I'm in town and we'll have lunch or whatever, but I'm not staying at your house. Right. And I don't want to necessarily put together a whole plan where like you and me are now doing vacation together. Like I'm probably not doing that. So
will you go to a city if it means you know some? Will someone being in a city change whether or not you go there on vacation?
No.
So like, oh, we know people in Charleston. So, and they've said, if you're in town, it wouldn't change it.
No, I don't think so.
For me, it could for me. It could swing me towards visiting if I think like you can't say, oh, I live in the middle of rural Nebraska. You should come visit if you're ever around. Like there needs to be points of interest that are worth considering. Charleston's a good example. I would consider it things that matter. Are they a never flusher? How many animals do they have, and do I like those kind of animals?
Mm-hmm.
Do they actually have a spare bedroom, or do I get like a hammock or a pull-out bed? Is a variable that I would want to know. Are they good cooks? What's their personal hygiene like? Are they clean people? That matters. All things I would consider. Most of those you wouldn't know. But if you have the more of those you did happen to know, are they close to a Taco Bell in a situation where they cook very bad food for you as the guest? And you need to like, hey, I'm going to go take a quick drive to like explore a little, and you can run to a drive-through and get yourself something that tastes good. All variables, all things I would consider.
Have I told the Dan story on this podcast about staying at his place? Have I told that story? Do you guys remember?
The Dan Marino?
No, Dan. I probably shouldn't have just said his last name. Dan, my colleague, Dan.
I'm not. I know that you have seen him, been around him. I don't know that I know a story.
The short of it is he made that offer. They're in Redwood. Okay. They're in Redwood City. Now I've said his last name and the town he lives in.
We're going to have to bleep it out.
We'll bleep his last name. So they're in Redwood City, and he said, hey, man, if you're ever in town, if you and Sherry are ever in town, let us know. Well, Dan and I had a customer engagement in Redwood City, and Sherry and I happened to be trying to plan a Hawaii vacation.
Mm-hmm.
The gig was going to end at the end of 1 week, and Sherry and I's vacation was the next week. So I was like, we could spend the night at Dan's over the weekend, not because it's California, not have to come fly all the way back from the work trip to Ohio and just go from California to Hawaii. So I said, hey, man, I'd love to take you up on that offer. Come to find out, they never hosted, not even family members who are in town. So he was just being affable, gregarious, kind, and polite Dan going, hey, buddy, if you're ever in town. And I went, okay, great. So they remodeled a bedroom, which was his office. It wasn't a bedroom. They remodeled his office to accommodate a brand new bed situation just for us to stay, which they now affectionately refer to as the Hubble room of their house.
That is amazing.
I want to know now, is this a Midwestern versus coastal thing? Is this a thing that the coasts say? Yeah, if you're ever in town, just stop by, and they don't mean it. And that's not a knock on Dan. That's
He's
just
from the
very,
Midwest.
That's true. That's a very normal thing for people to say though, and not even mean it. And you go, like you go, hey, I'd love to take you up on it, and then them say, I was being nice. I don't really, I don't really have a good situation.
One of the kids, I think, has a hangnail on his big toe. We can't do that.
So Dan and I have a mutual colleague, Matt, and Matt lives in Maui. And Matt said, if you're ever in town, and I said, Dan has a story about that. So if you don't mean it, don't say it. So that's become my new thing. So when people say, if you're ever in town, I go, hold right there, because I travel quite a bit. I love traveling. I'll take you up on that. So don't say it if you don't actually mean it, which sounds like I'm sitting there pleading and being hopeful. And I'm not. I'm just saying, don't say it if you don't actually mean it.
Oh, that makes me happy.
Good guy, Dan.
Good guy, Dan. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on when somebody says to you, if you're ever in town, look us up. We should get together. You guys could crash here. Let us know. Some people.
And to be clear, get together is very different than you're welcome to stay with us. We'd love to have you. Yeah. Come stay with us. Get together is like a lunch or a dinner or something.
Right.
Very, very different.